Distinguished heads of diplomatic missions, esteemed secretaries general, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the conference. Today we gather here to explore the role of the OTS in advancing the SDGs within the Turkic region. Our esteemed panelists will discuss the progress made by the OTS, identify key priority areas, and explore actionable recommendations to mobilize support for SDG implementation. We are honored to have distinguished panelists with us today. Let me introduce them. His Excellency Ambassador Kubanychbek Omuraliev, Secretary General of the Organization of Turkic States. Mr. Tony Bonici, Chief Cooperation and Partnerships Section, the UN Economic Commission for Europe. Ms. Beat Andres, Regional Director for Europe and Central Asia and Assistant Director General of the International Labour Organization. Ms. Tatiana Bray-Bellet, Director, TIR and Transit, the International Road Transport Union. Dr. Coenne Capuano, Executive Director, Office of the Regional Director, WHO Europe Office. And of course, we are pleased to have with us today Ambassador Olga Algayarova, former Executive Secretary of the UN Economic Commission for Europe, who will be moderating today's our panel sessions. Dear guests, I once again welcome you all to today's our conference, and thank you for joining us. And let's begin our today's session. Now I would like to give the floor to Her Excellency Ambassador Olga Algayarova for moderating today's session. Thank you so much. Please.
Thank you for this kind introduction. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, distinguished speakers, panelists. It's my personal pleasure and I am honored to be here in this discussion, this important discussion with you here today. The title of today's conference is the Organization of Turkic States as an Emerging Actor for Achieving Sustainable Development Goals. So, of course, we need to thank the organizers, the Organization of Turkic States, and all of you who are present here today. I was already introduced, so let's go because we don't have so much time. We will have our panelists for first hour, and then we have some 20, 30 minutes for your questions. So I hope you will be active participants in this discussion. So there are two elements in the title of this conference, and this is the Organization of Turkic States and the SDGs or Agenda 2030. I don't think we need to speak so much about SDGs, what is it and why we have it, but just few words, they deserve it. Because in 2015, the United Nations member states collectively agreed on Agenda 2030. They agreed on that we want the world to be a better place. And we all know there are 17 SDGs, 169 targets that we want to achieve together. So we should think about them as a universal call, and in the United Nations it's put like it's a global blueprint for dignity, peace and prosperity for people and the planet, not only now but also in the future. Unfortunately, 2023 statistical data are showing us that we are not on track. We have financial issues, we have conflicts, we have crises, we have environmental issues. So for me, it's like I believe you played, all of you, game of Tetris. Like the blocks start falling down so quickly that you can't see what is coming the next, and there is a feeling that you cannot keep up. But exactly, it's essential that the member states of the United Nations keep their promises and countries continue marshalling the finances, strategies, solutions, partnerships that are needed to deliver on all 17 SDGs. So just to finish on the SDGs element, last September 2023, we had the SDG Summit, and September 2024, the Secretary General of the United Nations is organizing the Summit of the Future. So those are important milestones. So why we are here today and speaking on the Organization of Turkic States, because on all that story on SDGs, the regional cooperation plays a very, very important role in not only SDGs achieving, but also accelerating the implementation. The history of the Organization of Turkic States starts already from 2009. As we know, is an intergovernmental organization comprising member states such as Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkey, and Uzbekistan. Important is it was founded on principles of solidarity, cooperation, mutual respect, and that the OTC aims to enhance political, economic, cultural ties among its member states. For me, is important, I'm economist, so some numbers. The Turkic world has GDP over 1.5 trillion US dollars, and the region population is 170 million people. It's the 14th largest economy in the world and the 3rd largest energy provider worldwide. So, and the fields of cooperation are increasing. They work together on economic, transport, health, space, energy, customs, science, tourism, youth, sports, and all of them are important for Agenda 2030. Turkic states have their vision. I believe it was adopted in Astana. Okay, there is Turkic States Vision 2040, which goes indeed beyond Agenda 2030, and they express there in this vision the expectations, proposals, better future, for better future, joint effort, and how they want, they are committed working together. Even they have some institutions. We have, I have seen today many representatives. They have Turkic Chamber of Commerce, they have Turkic Investment Fund, and indeed is, just to finish all this, is the region's strategic geographic location. Can you imagine? It's the region between Russia, China, and Iran. The region is abundant in natural resources. There are many because we have IRU today. The region is important for transportation and transit connectivity, and as well for security and peace in the region, because the proximity of this region to conflict zone, so this makes the Turkic states region definitely a strategic region. So definitely the region is one of the key players in the global economy landscape and is attracting increased interest from other parts of the world. So let us go directly to our panelists. My first panelist is His Excellency Ambassador Kubanychbek Omuraliev, who is Secretary General of the Organization of Turkic States. Kuban, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Olga. His Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and I would like to welcome you all of you in important events, and thank you for your being with us today in the morning in the exhibition and now is in our conference. It is with great pleasure and pride we gathered here to discuss on our role and the emerging actor of achieving sustainable development goals. And thank you, Olga. She was brief about overview of our organization, Turkic State, but also let me some also brief overview. As Olga mentioned, in intergovernmental organization, OTS acts in the umbrella of organization for other vital organizations such as Turksoy, here is Sultan Raif Türkpa, is also representative, is deputies here, Turkic Academy, Mr. Mustafa, President, Turkic Culture and Heritage Foundation, is Aktör Hanım, she is in president of, and also we have Turkic Chamber and the Commerce Union just 2 years ago established, and also newly established Turkic Investment Fund. So we are a Turkic organization, Turkic state is in the step by step, now is more is come institutionalization. So together we address a wide array of topics relevant of Turkic world, fostering a sense of shared culture and the ethnic identity among member states. Cooperation has always been central of OTS, and just Olga mentioned is 2009 by Nakhchivan Agreement, it was created our organization, but as you know, historically we 100,000 years together is our nation, and but actually is in currently 1992 is starting, is our first meetings head of states, but institutionally like 2009 starting in after Nakhchivan Agreement. As we continue to build upon the foundation laid by previous summits and the initiatives, the OTS remain dedicated to fostering collaboration, unity, solidarity, and the mutual prosperity among its member states and observers. The work of the OTS is characterized by a pragmatic and the practical orientation based on the needs of member states. Consequently, activities are wide-ranging in terms of thematic areas, and they include over 30 areas, in particular economy, customs, transport, energy, tourism, health, education, culture, science, foreign policy, media, ICT, youth, sports, diaspora, and among others. In our strategic document, the Turkic World Vision 2040, reiterating our answers to the achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, our head of states declared their commitment to keep up with global agenda of cooperation through collaboration of the OTS with UN, its bodies and the specialized agencies, as well as other relevant international organizations. And I hope my colleagues, other panelists, will be to brief more and about our cooperation with UN agencies and the other institutions. The promotion of economic growth with Sustainable Development Goals 8 number presents the backbone of the OTS approach to regional development. It was therefore no coincidence that the OTS chose economic cooperation at its first annual term. In line with the Turkic World Vision 2040, as well as our another strategic document is OTS 2022-2026 strategy, our efforts in the economic fields are essentially devoted to ensuring trade facilitation in the OTS region, increasing trade turnover among our countries, increasing the number of financial instruments available to private sector, diversification and development, improving investment climate in the Turkic region, as well as simplification and the digitalization of transport and the custom procedures along the Trans-Caspian East-West Middle Corridor. It is notable to mention that the Turkic economic have demonstrated resilience in the face of global economic challenges, with collective GDP, just Olga mentioned, of Turkey ranking 14 globally, reaching in the nearly 1.6 trillion USD in 2023, with the population 170 million and the combined economic value of approximately 4.2 trillion USD. The OTS holds immense potential for cooperation and integration on the global stage. In line with our commitment to tangible results, the Turkic Investment Fund emerges as a pivotal entity. As the first joint financial organization of Turkic state, the fund aims to improve trade, foster economic growth, and drive initiative projects, in particular in the transport and the transit sectors. By providing financial support to small, medium enterprises and the various sectors such as logistics and the infrastructure, the fund will be catalyze transformative developments across our region. Moreover, digitalization is transforming global trade, and we must ensure that the benefits of digital trade are accessible to all nations. Initiatives such as Partnership Agreement of Digital Economy among OTS member states aim to foster trust in electronic transactions and the create of conducive environment for e-commerce. Projects like the Turan Special Economic Zone in Turkestan, the Trade Cooperation Research Center, Turkic Development Bank, and the Turkic Green Finance Council are geared towards strengthening economic ties, supporting the private sector, and attracting investment in the region. This effort will also contribute to promoting inclusive and sustainable industrialization and fostering innovation, which is in Sustainable Development Goals in 9. In addition to economic cooperation, transportation plays a vital role in enhancing connectivity and facilitating trade with the Turkic region. The Middle Corridor, in particular, offers significant potential for reducing transit times and boosting trade between Asia and Europe. Effort to expand transport infrastructure, simplify transit procedures, and optimize transportation costs are underway, with initiatives such as Sister Port Process, Railway Council, Union of National Transport Association, which just last month is organized, Transport Connectivity Program, and the implementation of e-permit, e-tier, and the e-CMR in the Turkey region, demonstrating our commitment to enhancing and the regional connectivity. I hope is Tatiana from International Road Union. She will be more brief about our common projects. However, challenges remain, including high transport costs, insufficient vessel capacity, and the complex transit procedures. Addressing these challenges requires joint efforts to develop transport infrastructure, streamline procedures, and optimize cost. Our organization is conducting new project to promote the tourism destination of the Turkic world and attract more tourists to the region. Our main project in the tourism sphere, Modern Silk Road Joint Tour, Tabarik Ziyarat, Turkic World Tourism Capital Projects, new web portal, turkicsilkroad.com. Our dimensions in the field of tourism are Winter Tourism, Association of Travel Agencies, Best Tourism Village, and the Mega Into Tours. Our efforts are also aimed to boost health cooperation among member states, aiming at contributing and ensuring healthy lives and promoting well-being. Is also in the Sustainable Development Goal 3. After holding the first summit on COVID-19, this actually was first summit in head of state in the world during this pandemic period. OTS set up a health coordination committee and the health scientific group. As a result, the OTS member states moved quickly and they respond collectively to the COVID pandemic. And Dr. Kabiana, she will also during her speech will be more brief about our common project and the common cooperations. As a case of the four global development agenda, engaging the youth has taken an increasingly central role in portfolio of the OTS. The OTS has initiated several projects that target young people and their needs to various stages in their lives. In addition to the establishment of the Student Council within the Turkic University Union, youth camps and the festivals are organizing to help create shared experience for young people from the region and the strengthen mutual understanding, contributing to achieving also Sustainable Development Goal 4, and the more quality in the education. And today, interconnected world and they achieve the 23rd Agenda for Sustainable Development, partnership with other stakeholders, both in and outside of the region, are essential. To this end, the OTS has successfully been building partnership with international organizations, academia, and the private sector. At the moment, we are developing institutionalization cooperation with numerous international organizations such UNICEF, UNIDO, UN Habitat, FAO, International Organization Migration, ILO, IRENA, ASEAN, WTO, and the others, among others, organizations. Excuse me. And pursuit of global partnership for sustainable development with a strong focus of knowledge sharing and the capacity development, the OTS is taking an active role in implementing South-South and the triangular cooperation with the region as well as globally. In conclusion, the OTS remains steadfast in the commitment to fostering economic cooperation, enhancing connectivity, and achieving sustainable development goals by leveraging our collective strengths, promoting digitalization, and investing in infrastructure. We aim to unlock the full potential to the region and to create biggest future for our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary General. You see, everybody appreciated your words. I personally appreciated that you related what the OTC is doing to particular SDGs and your commitment that you expressed towards achieving Agenda 2030. Thank you so much. But let us move, because time is short, to our next speaker, who is Mr. Tony Bonici. He is a chief of Cooperation and Partnership section of the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. So, Tony, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, dear Olga. It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon, and thank you for the kind invitation. As Olga mentioned in her introduction, I have the privilege of leading the work on public-private partnerships at the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. But I'm not going to give you a very technical presentation or discussion. I just want to make a little bit of a link between the work that UNEC is doing on public-private partnerships and infrastructure finance with the Sustainable Development Goals, and also get into some examples with what UNEC is doing with a number of Turkic states present in the room this afternoon. So I was asked to tackle the issue of and elaborating a little bit on the role of public-private partnerships in advancing the sustainable development goals. As most of you are aware, public-private partnerships are long-term partnerships between the public and the private To deliver infrastructure projects, we heard from the ambassador the needs that we all have in terms of transport, energy, but also other sectors, and also deliver public services, ultimately for the benefits of the citizens. This is the key objective of these kind of partnerships. Putting people at the core of what we do, of infrastructure. Public-private partnerships have been traditionally used for many, many years. So much before the advent of the Sustainable Development Goals, they have been used for decades. And mainly they have been used as a value for money mechanism with very little emphasis, if any at all, on society and the environment. Mostly it was economic effectiveness of these projects, how the governments managed to include the innovation and the flexibility of the private sector, and also their finance, which is very important, into areas of where governments were previously leading and delivering. So this is what happened for many, many years, I would say decades. Then, as we all know, 2015 came about with the Sustainable Development Goals. And what happened, very interesting, is that member states decided that public-private partnerships will have a key role in the delivery, in the implementation of the SDGs. As you know, SDGs is full of infrastructure. Infrastructure is referenced everywhere. Access to public services is also everywhere in the SDGs. So they placed a particular emphasis or trust on PPPs, as if by magic, PPPs were going to solve all our infrastructure needs in our countries. Also, other elements of the 2030 agenda, such as the Addis Ababa Action Agenda, have put a lot of trust and influence on public-private partnerships. But then a lot of people started to question, are PPPs fit for purpose for the SDGs? So this was the main question that our member states asked us to look at around 2015. And what we realized is that they were not, because, as I mentioned, they were almost exclusively focusing on the economic aspect and not dealing with dealing much less, I would say, with the other sustainability pillars, which are the economic and the social. So this is what we did for a while, from 2015, including under Olga's leadership, of course, was to see to what extent a new model could emerge without compromising the bankability of projects and without scaring the private sector. So this was the key challenge, because it's easy to say, let us do this, let us do that, and then ultimately it doesn't work. So it was always our focus to make sure that we are not going to create a model which then scares away investors. So this is what we have been doing, and we developed a set of guiding principles. There are 10 guiding principles. We developed a model which has 5 outcomes, which is called PPPs for the Sustainable Development Goals, where, as I said, we put people at the core. But that was not enough, because many stakeholders were telling us, okay, these nice principles that the UN is publishing, will that work in reality? So there was a challenge to UNEC, as it were. Will make them work? How do they work? How can you translate policy into a tool that would then make it actually work for projects? We want to see how effectively these projects will be changed from traditionally into the new thinking. And this is what that was a step forward. A step forward was to identify what was needed and develop a project sustainability methodology. This is a technical tool which measures projects against the Sustainable Development Goals. So you take all your infrastructure, an infrastructure project, you take it through the tool, and it tells you to what extent it is SDG compliant. The tool has been used in over 200 projects from 40 countries, including in most of the Turkic states. And let me give some examples. In Turkey, for example, it was used in some of the iconic transport infrastructure, in the Eurasia Tunnel, and in the 1915 Çanakkale Bridge. In Kyrgyzstan, it was used to evaluate renewable energy projects, healthcare infrastructure, and also transport projects. In Tajikistan, it was used to evaluate energy projects and also healthcare projects. Last but certainly not least, in Kazakhstan, to evaluate transportation projects. So this evaluation methodology gives confidence to investors and to project sponsors that from a sustainable development goal perspective, the project has a high degree of credentials. Let me conclude by giving a specific example where UNECE contributes to a dialogue on public-private partnerships among its member states, including, of course, the Turkic states. Together with the government of Turkey, and here I want to take the opportunity to thank the government of Turkey for its fantastic contribution, we are organizing the next edition of the UNECE International PPP Forum in Istanbul from 8 to 10 May. The forum has become an annual gathering for the international PPP community to discuss topical issues with accelerating the sustainable development goals and climate action at the forefront. And all countries in the Turkic states present here will participate, and some of them at a very senior level. Perhaps I will stop here, and then if there is another opportunity, I can interject a bit later. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I'm grateful for the timekeeping. I really like always the work of the section on PPPs, and we call them new generation, as you have heard. It's such as not the old understanding just on economic parameters, but we have these people and environmental and social dimension of them, and infrastructural projects are very important, and I liked very much that you went to the concrete examples, how our concepts or your concepts are used in the Turkic states region. Okay, let's move to our next speaker, who we are lucky to have, Mrs. Beate Andres, who is Regional Director for Europe and Central Asia of the International Labour Organization. Beate, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Olga, and thank you also to the OTS Ambassador Omuraliev. Thank you for the collaboration with the ILO and for including us in this dialogue. And also warm greetings to the ambassadors representing the OTS member states here today. It's a great pleasure to be here and to not only get a glimpse of the rich culture of your region, but actually to also engage in a more in-depth discussion related to socioeconomic development. I wanted to focus on two particular issues because talking about the SDGs, we would need more than a week to talk. So I wanted to focus specifically on the issues related to social protection and gender equality, which are, as you know, related to the SDGs, SDGs 5 and 1. But also want to just stress that the ILO, of course, is the guardian of the SDG Goal 8 on economic growth and decent work, monitors all these indicators and has seen in significant progress in OTS member states in recent years. I will not share all the statistical details here today, but just wanted to highlight a few points that are particularly important in terms of our collaboration. So let me start briefly on social protection, an issue that came to the fore of concerns during the COVID pandemic, when we saw that in particular people in the informal economy were not protected and were suffering significantly, disproportionately under the impact of the pandemic. And we know that globally, more than 4 billion men and women and children do not benefit from any social protection measure, whether it is health, whether it's unemployment benefits, whether it's pensions. So 4 billion is a big number. The good news is that in the region of Europe and Central Asia, including in the OTS member states, the data is slightly better. This region performs better than the other region, but still, we see significant coverage gaps, in particular in the informal economy, of course. And in this sense, in this context, the UN Secretary General launched the UN Global Accelerator on Jobs and Social Protection in 2021. And I'm glad to say that in the wider European and Central Asia region, we have 2 pathfinder countries, and one is a member of the OTS, Uzbekistan. The other is Albania. Countries that have agreed to step up and to develop national roadmaps to extend the coverage of social protection floors to all citizens, and at the same time to invest in decent work and to create, in a way, a virtuous cycle of revenue creation and investment in people. And of course, I'm extending here an invitation also to the other member states of the OTS to join this initiative of the Global Accelerator, because what's at the heart is precisely accelerating progress towards the SDG, in particular, poverty alleviation. And then allow me to say a few words also about gender equality, which will be high on the agenda of this year's International Labour Conference in June. But it is an issue, of course, that is not only at the heart of the SDG agenda, but also of the ILO's work. And we are, and we know this, we are failing to deliver on this everywhere in the world. At the current pace, it will take decades before we reach gender equality, in particular in relation to economic and social opportunities for women and men. But the good news is that more women are breaking the barriers and taking on leadership roles in all regions of the world, including in OTS member states. And all OTS members have ratified the ILO's conventions on equal remuneration and non-discrimination in the world of work. And we have very good collaboration on the ground with your member states to support implementation. During the conference in June this year, the focus will be particularly on the care economy, another issue that is rising in importance, also because many member states, including, we see this also in the OTS, are faced with an aging society, and therefore the investments in the care economy are absolutely critical, not just to promote gender equality, but also to increase economic growth and productivity. And we would also invite member states of the OTS to look into the issue of artificial intelligence and digital transformation and how it impacts women in the world of work. We welcome the Turkic World Vision 2040, which was, as you mentioned, Ambassador, adopted in 2021. It has specific references to economic, social, institutional reforms, and also refers specifically to equality between men and women. So perhaps a few ideas to share in how we can strengthen our collaboration moving forward. One area certainly is to continue collaborating on the not just ratification, but also implementation of the ILO's labor standards. And when we talk about gender equality, we have a convention on harassment and abuse in the world of work, number 190, which we hope will be universally ratified. We also have standards on social protection floors and many other areas in the world of work, occupational safety and health, etc. So we would like to invite you to identify your priorities and collaborate with the ILO on the implementation. We would also be very interested in further exploring collaboration with the Turkic Investment Fund. This is an excellent initiative which also creates ownership in the region in terms of investment projects. And we very much look forward to strengthening our contributions. As I said, the Global Accelerator is an initiative that really looks at the also policy coherence between social policies and financial policies. including collaboration with international financial institutions. And finally, I also would like to extend an invitation to all members of the OTS to join the ILO's Global Coalition for Social Justice, an initiative that was launched by our Director General and endorsed by the members of the governing body in November last year. We have more than 200 partners now from all over the world. And I'm glad to say that amongst the OTS members, Turkey and the Kyrgyz Republic have already signaled their commitment to join this coalition. The idea is really to create a space, not just amongst member states, but also with workers, employers, organizations, NGOs, academic institutions, to discuss the linkages between social policies, environmental policies, and economic policies, and to prepare the ground for the social summit, or specifically for the World Summit for Social Development, which will be take place in 2025. Thank you very much. Olga, over to you.
Excellent, that very great overlook of the social protection and gender equality where we stand in the region. And as we see, the region is committed. They ratified or signed or exceeded all ILO conventions on that are in this regard. We have unfortunately no time to speak about the AI and digital technologies, but very strong call of that implementation of ILO standards is also important. Thank you so much. So let's move. Our next speaker is Madame Tatiana Ray-Bellet, who is director from International Road Transport Union. She's director for TIR and Transit. And I'm happy to have her here because she's the right expert. So Tatiana, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Olga. Thank you, Your Excellency, for organizing this important event, very timely, which I'm sure will help establishing even closer cooperation between the OTS states. First of all, I would like to greatly appreciate the partnership which we have been having as RU with OTS for a number of years. And this partnership helps us working closely, jointly together towards driving connectivity and regional integration between OTS countries and beyond. And of course, road transport is indispensable for driving this connectivity. Road transport, in our eyes, is the driver for development, economic enhancement, trade, and prosperity for the whole Turkic region. We know that the recent geopolitical developments have been redefining trade and transport routes. New routes have to step up in order to serve the growing needs for connectivity. And the Turkic region has been in the center of that. We know that very important trade and transit routes are passing across the states of the OTS region. In 2022, the transit volumes across the Middle Corridor grew by 150% compared to 2021. In 2023, this growth increase continued, and in 2023, we could see that freight volumes between China and Europe along the Middle Corridor grew by 83%. And this growth continues. So we can see that the corridors lying through the OTS geography are in a very big demand. They have very high potential, but there is a but here. There are also obstacles which are not allowing the corridor today to realize its full potential for connectivity. Good news is that those obstacles can be removed through our joint actions. The limitation of capacities of ro-ro ferries across the Caspian Sea, obstacles at the borders, and then long waiting time at the borders, just to name a few, which are not allowing today to grow, to continue growing full potential of the corridors lying across the Turkic states. In order to enhance the transport connectivity already today, and it is possible to enhance it already today, our strategic focus should be on soft measures to improve soft connectivity, which actually needs joint efforts in order to adjust procedures and to use the instruments which the countries have today at hand. And a harmonized approach towards better connectivity is absolutely needed, instead of creating a patchwork of different solutions. So we need to see what's working already in the region today, and then to see how to further leverage the existing instruments which are working today. So first of all, talking about connectivity, is the TIER system. For those who don't know, it's the global system of international transit. And as RU, under the UN mandate, we manage the TIER system worldwide. The TIER system has 78 contracting parties, and the OTS states are the very active users of the system. Today, Uzbekistan and Turkey are the major users of the TIER system, and one of the major transit corridors lie across Turkmenistan. And also Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan are key for regional connectivity. TIER brings much needed facilitation based on security. We also know that TIER is on the way towards full digitalization, and this digitalization will further leverage, augment these benefits, which bring facilitation and security to the entire region and beyond. Throughout many years of work, as RU, as a private sector, we succeeded in digitalizing many aspects of the TIER system, connecting public and private stakeholders together, and even further increasing security. And now today, to make TIER fully digital, the last remaining step which needs to be completed is to connect custom systems with the UNICEF's so-called e-TIER international system. This is the last step, and we are happy that OTS are really greatly supporting this work. e-TIER, as an annex to the TIER Convention, entered into force in May 2021, and we were sitting with Olga here in this room, and we hope that in 3 years, which means in 2024, we will be happy to see e-TIER operational everywhere. Well, we are still in the process of making TIER digital, of making e-TIER to happen. And again, I'm happy to say that the OTS countries are championing the process of digitalization. Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan are already operational, and we are also very closely working with UNICEF and the countries in order to make e-TIER operational in this particular geography, which is the most receptive. Why? Because it needs this instrument today. To further leverage facilitation, many countries decide to open TIER or e-TIER green lanes. And again, I'm happy to say that we have, together with OTS, we succeeded in opening several green lanes in the region. Today, there is Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Turkey, who have such green lanes. And in cases the infrastructure does not allow to open green lanes, in this case, there are also solutions, like Kyrgyzstan, for example, did. Kyrgyzstan opened, allowed this prioritization for TIER and in future e-TIER through managing e-queuing with the help of dedicated parking areas. So we trust that this process should continue, process towards digitalization and managing transit flows better through green lanes. Another instrument which is used by road transport across the region and beyond is based on another UN convention, which is called CMR Convention. And as the private sector, we have been again working very closely with OTS to digitalize CMR and to proceed to eCMR. And on a Thursday, this Thursday, on the 25th of October, we are participating in the workshop on digitalization with a focus on eCMR, e-visas, and e-permits in Budapest, and we'll be able to contribute to this work. And of course, further to e-TIER and eCMR, we have to work closely together in order to digitalize all other instruments supporting and facilitating further transit and trade. And specifically, I'm talking about e-permits, which, for example, Uzbekistan and Turkey also made operational between the two countries, and also about e-visas. And talking about visas, it's absolutely important to have a separate category of visas for professional drivers. Today, we have appalling incidents when drivers have to wait for 2 months only to get an appointment for a visa, and then 1 more month to get this visa, which means that driver has to sit idle at home without being able to work. And then we are talking about driver shortage everywhere, including also this geography. So visas should be long-term, multi-entry, and definitely there should be a special category of visas for professional drivers, starting from tier drivers. No one could see a tier truck just left unattended, because we know that tier trucks are driven by professional tier drivers who earned actually the access to the system and who are not likely to disappear without any visa. And the role of intergovernmental organizations such as OTS is crucial here, because OTS can play a big role in driving this process. So once again, I'd like to say that RU greatly appreciates our collaboration with OTS. We always count on OTS support, because we know that you are the partner who intend to bring practical results and then to enhance cooperation in the area of customs matters, transport, trade, and eventually to bring prosperity to the region. Thank you.
Excellent, Tatiana. I like this part of work of IRU very much, because and Tatiana is perfect in selling it to you, because if I hear this, it's not about only connectivity. These logistical processes is, you see how now when we say the SDGs are interconnected, it's about definitely economic growth. It's definitely about well-being of people. It's definitely about energy efficiency. If you have effective connections, the road transport is. If we speak about digital or e-tier or ECMR, is about digitalization, innovation. So all that comes together. And I need to say, excuse me, this half minute. Listening to Tatiana, that was excellent speech, Tatiana. I remember Your Excellency, Ambassador of Azerbaijan. We were sitting in Baku in one restaurant where Galip took me. And it was a place where on the Silk Road, the caravans were passing by maybe 2,000 years ago. And we were sitting with the head of customs offices and talking exactly about this. It was so symbolic. And today we are sitting here and speaking E-tier, ECMR, and at times the camels were sleeping there in those places. I needed to think about it. Excuse me, this short impairment. But let us continue with, indeed, our last speaker, who is Madame Dr. Corinne Capuano. She is Executive Director of the Office of the Regional Director of WHO Europe. So, Corinne, the floor is yours now.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. I will try to be as convincing as my previous speaker here in talking about health and well-being. Ambassador, first, let me thank you for organizing this dialogue and inviting WHO Europe and all of you head of missions and excellencies and participants in joining this dialogue. First, I would like to say how much we at WHO Europe value and appreciate our collaboration with the OTS in moving the health agenda forward in the OTS countries, Central Asia and beyond. I think that OTS has really established itself as an influential and responsible partner and participant in today's system of international relations and multilateral cooperation in the humanitarian and health field. And Excellency, you just mentioned earlier the first head of a heads of states meeting during COVID-19. And this is a sort of initiatives that needs to be commended because they are paving the way. So congratulations for that. This is actually, OTS is a very good example, and a very excellent example of institutionalized sub-regional collaboration, focusing on the way to foster solidarity in the interest of the people. Our close collaboration in the health arena started in times of pandemic, and that's in September 2020 that the WHO Europe and OTS signed the Memorandum of Understanding. And actually, we are working jointly in moving forward with this Memorandum of Understanding, and I will come to that a little bit later. We do value OTS input in global and regional health agenda. OTS experts support our work in many technical groups and committees, such as the Scientific Board of the Monti Commission or the Steering Group of the Pan-European Network of Disease Control. And these are very important work to progress health at the regional and global level. As I mentioned earlier, we are working together on implementing the Memorandum of Understanding. And last year, we developed and we agreed on a plan of action that is jointly bringing together OTS and WHO Europe in a number of areas that are covering exchange of knowledge and best practicing, developing common standards, using information and communication technologies in health sector that will facilitate cross-border exchange of health data. Now, moving to SDGs and the Sustainable Development Goals. Well, the world, and we all learned the hard way with the pandemic, that health and well-being are definitely at the end, an end result. However, we also learned that health and well-being are determinants and the driving force behind economic, social, and environmental dimensions of the goals. Universal health coverage is key to fulfilling the SDGs towards better health and poverty eradication. We are committed to work with OTS to move towards universal health coverage, protect people against health emergencies, and promote health and well-being. And these priorities are actually the priorities that are laid down in the WHO Europe European Programme of Work, which is covering the period 2020-2025 and entitled United Action for Better Health in Europe. And it's also in the OTS strategic document that you mentioned earlier, Vision of the Turkic World 2040. So we are totally aligned and working together. Moving towards universal health coverage requires political commitment to thanks, good governance, and building capacities and resilience of the national health systems. To achieve sustainable health outcomes in the OTS member state, we will keep focusing on capacity building in leadership in emergencies and new initiatives on the development of a national emergency medical team network, the EMT network, as part of the joint emergency disaster response team of OTS countries. We also will work on big data. You mentioned digitalization, that's definitely part of the work we are going to do together, and advanced analytics in the health sector, and new roles of hospitals to facilitate the exchange of information and experience among OTS member states. Madam Moderator, this is a quick overview of how we work together and do appreciate and value our cooperation with OTS. Thank you.
Thank you, Corinne. Very practical overview of activities of and cooperation of WHO with the OTS. And what I liked very much, you mentioned the COVID time and the input to the global health agenda of the OTS, what is really very impressive. But interesting is that you have MOU with WHO. There are not so many UN entities, so that's pity because you are now preparing already plan of action that can lead you to more practical and concrete steps. So it's just worth to follow WHO on this. Okay, so now we finish and we have nice time for our discussion. So now it's your opportunity to use the presence of our panelists, and I hope you are going to do so. and they introduced to nice choice of SDGs, starting with SDG 8, decent work, through PPP, through gender equality, through innovation, through climate agenda. We didn't go so much, but we have heard for that. Connectivity, health. So they are yours. Okay, I see. Please put your question, introduce yourself, introduce your function, where are you from, and ask your question to the panelists.
Çokan Laumulinka, the British Technical University in Almaty, and the UNEC Committee on Sustainable Energy. Actually, I'm not sure who I should address my question. It's rather a comment, but if someone would like to comment in turn as well, I would appreciate. As you, Madame Algueira, you rightly mentioned about how SDGs can maybe intertwined one with the other one, I would like to focus the esteemed audience and panel attention on another kind of basic element, without which at least 14 out of the 17 SDGs are not attainable. And I'm talking about science and research. I think today, in all the Turkic states, even including Turkey, where it's 1.13%, but it's like one order below in all other state of the organization, the expenditures on research and development, in particular on basic research. And I think that if more attention paid, this research and new technological value-added chains created mutually among the member states would create a very long-lasting and tangible foundation for cooperation. And in particular, in the light of the Paris Agreement and meeting goals of the Paris Agreement and green transition, because we all know, and we dedicate a lot of time here at UNEC, that apparently within the existing today sets of technologies are not enough to meet. So we need science and science-induced technology of new kinds to meet this agenda. In particular, the Central Asia now is becoming a center because of our abundance of critical raw materials. And all high-tech of today and all future is not doable if not for especially 17 rare earth metals. So all the magic qualities of all high-tech we're using in our phones, computers, chips, everywhere, erbium, terbium, and all of them provided one and another quality. So I would like to focus
I'm sorry, what is your question?
My question, who can attention, or maybe the investment fund, to this issue, maybe to do something in this direction? Thank you very much.
Thank you. This was the first question. I believe we can take some 2, 3, and then approach our panelists. Do we have another one? I see Ambassador of Kazakhstan. Is it right? Did you ask? No?
But Olga, this is not only panelists, he's our president of Turkic Academy.
That's right.
Very closely working science issues. He can also he's also can also to comment later. So Professor Shahin Mustafayev is president of Turkic Academy. Right now or later, he can explain about our science in others area. He's more professional.
Absolutely, we invite also our guests who are with
we can invite because this is our affiliated organization. Not only is I can provide some comments also, and for about sciences issue, Professor Mustafayev is best person who can to provide more information. Maybe you can start.
Actually, I'm not, thank you, but I'm not sure that this question is addressed to me exactly. But as the president of the Turkic Academy, I would like to say that our organization is one of the organizations of Turkic cooperation, but we still are mostly focused on the humanities, on the sphere of history, literature, culture of the Turkic people. But we are trying to extend our competence and our sphere of activities, and especially starting from the last year, during the summit of the Turkic states in Astana, there was adopted the new decree about the extension of the competence of the Turkic Academy, and we are going to include sciences in our activities also, but we are new in this sphere. Actually, I think maybe a little bit later I will be able to respond this question in more competence, but yeah.
I believe we didn't expect you to respond the question on investment and green transition, but to speak about what we are doing in your academy. Is that right? Secretary General? Do we have any more questions at the moment? Yes, I see the hand. Please introduce yourself, tell the name of organization or country, and put the question.
Hello, so my name is Nazmiye Tashurek, and I'm from a private sector in Switzerland, especially in transportation. So my question will be to Madame Tatiana Reibelet. As we know, the transportation sector remains very polluting and decisive for achieving developmental goals in the future. But being a local company, we're still struggling and seeing many difficulties in front of us. And thinking of the world and the connectivity between Turkic states and the other world, or other nations, and also in Europe or other countries, I'm still seeing the goals not being achievable and a lot of difficulties remaining in terms of infrastructure and vehicles and just any transportation, be it planes or tours. So what are the, how can I say, because we talked about the digitalization of the transportation system, but how can we do it so the emerging nations and the current nations in Europe can do a better work and also help the climate change in the future? Because the pollution is not something we can ignore, and it remains and it takes a big part in the climate change efforts that we're all trying to achieve. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your question. And then maybe we can take the third question just to be able to manage the time. That's Ambassador of Kyrgyzstan. Excellency, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Algayirova. I have two questions. Ambassador of Kyrgyzstan, Sultanov. I have two questions. Well, but first, I must acknowledge, well, and thanks OTS Secretariat for the excellent preparation of the whole event and this particular conference. And the following two questions. The first one, last year it was the 10th anniversary summit of OTS in Astana, and President Tokayev of Kazakhstan has put forward the initiative to promote so-called new Turkic world brand. So my question is probably to the Secretary General of the OTS, from your point of view, what is it? What is it, the Turkic world brand, and how it can be promoted? The second question is about climate change. So climate change is a buzzword, it's a very fashionable topic anyway. It's a true problem, it's a real problem. And thanks to the initiative, to the leadership of Azerbaijan and its president, next COP29 will be held in Baku. So what also, is there anybody who can comment on what might be the added value of OTS countries in addressing these issues related to COP29? Apart, of course, of Azerbaijan, who is already showing its outstanding leadership in this regard. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we have some 10 minutes till end of our conference and 3 questions. So we have 3 minutes per each. And the first question was on from the gentleman who is working with UNEC on energy issues. But basically the question was on investment fund. So maybe Secretary General, you might be able to respond. Any of you can as well join Secretary General, but investment fund is the question.
Yeah. Thank you. And first of all, before to provide answer, I would like to once more to thanks, because we don't have more time, only 10 minutes, to thanks to our panelists and their very valuable 2 remarks, and they actually brief all our how we work together. This is also will be example to others agencies and the UN and the international, including private bodies, how we work OTS with partners. So thank you very much. Regarding this investment fund, just as mentioned in my remarks, investment fund just established to start to work 2 months ago, because it was take time for ratification and the other organizational issue. Is nice. I hope in next couple months it will be institutional is fully. I mean about governors board and the others organizational chapter of our Turk investment fund. But investment fund, member state, each member state not depend from GDP or other economics. Each state is to contributing $200 million. It's totally now it will be 1 million. It's just one, but is open to others. For example, our one is valuable observer is Hungary, is already announced about $200 million to contribute to investment fund. So I would like to take this opportunity to invite to other stakeholders to join for investment fund. But investment fund is first is will be more focused for small medium enterprise for some projects, and of course to open to fund to others projects. So we can talk more about this investment fund. If you need more information, we can provide to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Secretary General. It's really not possible to respond in 3 minutes, but the basic information was provided. The investment fund was institutionalized. It has already quite nice amount of funding today. And as we have heard, SMEs are very important economic vehicle of each economy. So that is important, that to support SMEs is really the future of development. The second, we have very interesting question from the lady from the private sector of Switzerland. And she was connecting the connectivity in the OTS related to maybe IRU tools together with pollution. So when I was speaking about it, I thought if we have that connectivity, that trucks don't need to wait at the border crossings hours, you know, and pollute the air, but they pass from the point of loading to point of destination in one go, thanks to the tools that IRU is preparing for the member states. So it's exactly the best measure against pollution. But Tatiana, I'm sure you have something more to add. But please be short. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga, and thank you very much for the very good question. I would like to mention that IRU runs a long-term project which is called Green Compact. The objective of this project is to apply a collective global action to reach carbon neutrality in commercial road transport by 2050. This approach is pragmatic and realistic. what we mean by pragmatic is that we want to achieve maximum results, higher results for both public and private sector with lower costs. Realistic, it means that we also take into account the strategies applied by other industries, and also the fact that the other industries would be vying for alternative fuels. So our EU Green Compact studies, maps, and tracks actions aiming at carbon neutrality by 2050. And this approach has 5 pillars, but at the same time, it's a dual approach. Dual because it takes into account this transition towards alternative fuels on the one hand, and on the other hand, ensures the efficiency of logistics. So this is dual approach, which is absolutely necessary. And then the second half, which is logistics efficiency, includes actually 4 pillars, which means logistics efficiency, drivers training, drivers efficiency, trucks efficiency, and collective mobility. So these 5 pillars are important, and all 5 pillars contribute to carbon neutrality in commercial road transport by 2050. And I can tell you that, as Olga has just said, already today, only through border crossing facilitation, this approach can bring 30% in reduction of emissions, only thanks to the reduction of border waiting time. We conducted, in the framework of this big Green Compact project, we conducted a study together with our member, DB Schenker, and the results were striking. We could see that at one of the borders, which was not in the OTS countries, but in another geography, the border crossing time, thanks to TIR, can be 4 hours versus 48 hours without TIR. This is thanks to facilitation, as it explains, security and facilitation, right? And then this 4 hours versus 48 hours actually meant 300 300 liters of diesel used, which also means 1 ton of CO2, which means that TIR in this particular border helps reducing CO2 emissions by already 1 ton per refrigerated truck. This was for refrigerated truck, just per 1 journey. So we can see that only through TIR, which provides facilitation, CO2 emissions can be cut that significantly by 1 ton. And of course, you know, as RU, we say, okay, we need to move to action very quickly. And for that, the political will and coordinated approach is very necessary. We are happy to provide this guidance to the regions and to countries, because this approach should be applied at the regional level and also at the country-specific level, because the mix of energies is different. The access to alternative fuels is different. So that's why, while having this global vision, also we are looking into country-specific level in order to provide realistic guidance to countries. Thank you.
Tatiana, perfect as always. Our last question was from His Excellency Amar, Ambassador of Kyrgyzstan, Omar. And his question was added value of the OTC on COP28. And I hear from Beat that she wants to add something specific from ILO or ILO on COP29, incoming COP. So Beat, please go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for the question, Ambassador Sultanov. And just wanted to say that we are working very closely, of course, with Azerbaijan to support preparations with a particular focus on just transition, an issue that has gained prominence because if leaders want to build public support for action against climate change, it's important to also look at the social dimensions of it. And the ILO, with our network of workers' organizations and employers' organizations, we believe that we can help. And so one concrete request we have received from a member state of the OTS is to, first of all, help governments to do modeling, the modeling of the labor market impact of climate action. For instance, in the energy sector, but also in sectors where green jobs can be created and where you need capacity to anticipate the skills needs. So that is one particular area we are working on now. And again, an invitation, of course, to all OTS members to collaborate with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Beat. Unfortunately, time is not allowing us because each of the questions requires more elaborate, and I believe all panelists are able to contribute on all your questions, but it's time to terminate this, adjourn this fantastic session. that I really, really personally enjoyed because it's about fantastic agenda and fantastic region. So I invite you to applaud our speakers, our panelists. And I want maybe to say my last sentence is that each region has its challenges, questions, issues, but we gave today many arguments that this is a region that has a big perspective. Cooperation is the key for future development, and each of the panelists offer you different perspectives from the economic growth, PPP, social justice, health, gender equality, transport, everything was here. So there is so much work to do. So please continue your work that you started by your institutionalization, by organization, by what you are doing, by your commitment to Agenda 2030. And definitely the region has many strengths. And the most important that you have commitment and ambition. So I wish you the best luck in your endeavor, Mr. Secretary General, with your organization to work for stability and prosperity of the region. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Excellencies, and the distinguished guest and the distinguished our panelist speaker. And also would like to say thanks to Olga, who is really to support us. She is always, as former secretary in head of UNICEF, she is always very closely working with our member state observers and with OTS. And she is also in the first to our call immediately come. And today she is with us. And if it's possible, we will have some, not surprise, but small appreciation for you.
Stand up.
So this is small for certificate of appreciation. Yes, of course. This is a surprise for our excellencies too, but it's on behalf of all of us. But OTS is organization of Turks. So thank you very much.
As we draw to a close, we want to express our sincere gratitude to all our esteemed panelists and moderator and participants for their valuable contributions and insightful discussions throughout this conference. So the main message from today's OTS conference is very clear. So the goals of the organization are fully aligned with the SDGs, and it's eager to collaborate with the UN and other organizations and institutions to achieve them. In their turn, other international organizations have also demonstrated success in cooperation with the OTS, and they are also committed to collaborate with the OTS, recognizing their achievements and potential for furthering sustainable development initiatives. Moving forward, it's very imperative that we continue to build on the momentum generated today and translate our discussions into concrete actions. Collaboration, partnership, and collective actions will be essential in addressing the multifaceted challenges facing the Turkic region and globe as well, and advancing progress towards the SDGs. Once again, thank you to everyone for your active participation and valuable insights. Let us continue our journey towards a more prosperous, inclusive, and sustainable Turkic region. And now, we would like to invite all our esteemed panelists for family photo, if you allow. And thank you so much. Yeah, we can just stay. Yes. Please, dear heads of Turkic cooperation organizations, you may take the floor.